It's no doubt, everyone knows, there's it's not easy to stay alone and having a comfortable or peaceful mind, full life and the orientation around you. But it's not difficult because maybe because of not that it requires a lot of energy or support. Rather, it's becoming difficult because we are not looking for the actual feeling of it rather than discussing in our mind about it by the idea it provides superficially from the outer shell, like your preconceived idea. And also the meaning of this particular word in the relation between the word and the unique position of your mind or your knowledge, or also that connected with in which spiritual stage you are now in. So yeah, a lot of factors. But we agree that it's not easy to be peaceful with you while not having many social interactions, while not having any relationship with any sexual or emotional, just having handful of friends but not relying on very friendship at the same time. So basically living alone with peace and harmony is not easy, because the idea of what is living alone, what is it mean, the peace and the harmony, and all of these words are creating unnecessary divisions. Rather, we can rephrase this line in this way that everyone everyone has to go through a process of being alone. And maybe statistically everyone spends few hours at least harmonized or semi harmonized with himself or herself while living alone in, let's say, 7 days, out of 7 days. So it's not a foreign thing. It's very common. Is the automatic thing. Like you don't need to push yourself to do such a thing. You are designed to be alone and peaceful and in harmony. That's why that's what I have figured out. Yeah, but it could be. Sometimes we have something going on in our head, and while saying or speaking or discussing about anything, we use those words or those lines or those thoughts for the sake of express that feeling towards someone or a context or something. Then maybe I think between us expression and the thoughts, These two stations are not harmonized because maybe the reason could be thought bonds and it is now in the process after getting birth quickly in the process of getting out in a form of an expression. So the idea of harmonizing or harmony, it requires silence and patience. I would not use the word time because time is not an action that you can do or you can create, or time is the trap made by you and you can only, yeah, get caught by that trap. Sometimes you get prizes, sometimes you pay the price. But silence or silent observations or patience is an act or can be think as an act. So between two stations, your thought and your expression, if you have silence in between, how you will have it? I think every process is unique, but if you see what is happening in between thoughts in your mind, in your head, what kind of thing it want it wants me to express, what is the intention? Yeah, when I say it, then I can express it, and in between this expression and this thought, this birth of this thought, there is a process happen, not within time, because the time stopped meanwhile, while you are maintaining the silence between your expression and your thought. Why I'm saying that there is no time? Because when you practicing silence, you have to have no time. Practicing silence means the act of silence. What is the act of silence? So then there must be an act of a movement. Thought or your thinking, the ideas, they are moving because they're changing, they're coming, they're going, not towards somewhere. They're vanishing, they're appearing, they're vanishing, they're appearing. Or they're reforming constantly. Or there is nothing. We just have this feeling of there is something. So, making silence with your thought can be expressed in this way that the movement is thought or the process of thought, thinking. When you lead the thought towards something, it can call thinking. When the thought is leading you towards someone, something, it can be also called thinking, but thoughts thinking. I think most of the time we recognize our thinking mistakenly, because it is not our thinking. We are not completely authorized ourselves of that thinking particularly. Rather, the thought is thinking and giving me the idea that I am thinking. According to that equation, I am thought. If I believe the relation between me and thinking is inseparable. But I have found that thought has their own way, rhythm, flow, whatever. And they are moving. The thought itself moving, the thinking and the thought. For me, they don't have any difference between what is thinking. There is no authority. Yeah, it's all thought. Because the motherboard or the mother center is thought. And the idea of thinking and this and that can all is created from the thought itself. So the idea of thinking gives us the idea of movement, and the idea of thought gives us the idea of stillness. But the stillness actually creates the idea of a movement. Without moving it, the still cannot have its expression of illusion of stillness in our mind. So all the thoughts are movement. Now we're talking about silence. What do you have to do or need to do or can do or maybe, yeah, is don't go with the movement. So even though your thought is thinking, don't get along with it. Question: what actually left in my hand? If my thought is thinking, how can I separate myself? So who is me rather than this process? Simple answer: your body. And I think this is the answer. Your body. You can separate your body from your thinking, which is movement. How you can separate it? First, you have to know that you have a body, or the body is there and can be separate from the idea of thinking. But the idea of thinking is the act of a mind, and body is a place where mind hides or manifests. Yes, in a way. But body is still a body. Body is fine without thinking. When you are deep sleep, your body reacts by its own way. Sometimes, I don't know about women, but sometimes for men, getting up in the morning and they figure out like their penis is getting hard, they are feeling a bit sexual. And most of the time, when you get sexual or aroused towards sex, you can ask yourself, have you used your mind to be that? In my case, yes, I figure out mostly my mind makes me sexually interested. But in deep sleep, I don't know. But still is there. I can be sexually awake without using my mind. So the body is a complete entity, and you can only separate if you have the body in your mind and outside of your mind. And to do that, to figure out the body in both ways, a consistency of practicing a little bit of meditation, just sitting without trying not to think. But this very trying is also a byproduct of thinking. But in every communication, we must have some difficulties and limitations because we fundamentally use the form made by thoughts. So that's why it's important to feel me while saying this thing. Sometimes it's better to sit closely, physically, and talk about this thing. Or sometimes maybe what I'm doing now, using my handycam and the social media to get too close to you. So when you have the idea in your mind that you have a body which can be separate from the mind, you can separate your mind and body after that. Or there are many times in a day we really feel essentially, existentially, that we are body. Not body thinking, body. Just body. Body does think, body doesn't think. Body creates antibody. Mind thinks to create something before. Mind holds thing, mind stops thing. Even, and because mind has the power to run everything in time. Because it creates time. Fascinatingly. Which is thought, which is thoughts thinking in a process. So your body, you have your body, you can separate your body from your thinking. In this very act of doing so, there must not be anything called time. But in our mind, it seems like, okay, if it is a process, it has its starting, beginning, ending, in the middle point. It must have crossed some time. But it must have crossed the idea of a measurement of time because of the changes happens from one unit. It's like holding something, holding the first place of something, a station, let's say A, and you are now going anywhere. So you have this A station holding in your mind. So now you can measure all the thing from A. But when you are here and you are measuring the distance between your two stations, the actual reality is only that. There is no reality of this as a living experience. So you are holding it and you are also making it to hold further. So actually you are holding a lot of stations where you can measure. So you can measure everything. Time is a very interesting thing, and it gives us the idea that every process takes time. Maybe yes. But taking time is nothing to do with us or our mind. In that way, measurement is a management of mind. It's a process, it's a device of mind. So silence means recognize the movement. And this very recognition or realization not brings you, not makes the, becomes silence. But if you want to prove that you have got the silence, you cannot prove, because to prove you have to express it within words, and silence cannot be grasped by thoughts. It can only feel. But as you feel it, it will, or it creates a kind of very deep a sense of being connected to something that is very peaceful, maybe. When you have the theory, then you can try to practice. To create a actual separation between your body and mind or thinking. But it's not a process of development, start, middle, or end. It's actually not having anything, rather losing something which is not even material, losing some ideas are actually silence. How to lose? By recognizing. How to recognize? By being aware. How to being aware? Maybe we'll talk about it in the next video.